If you're stuck around $2 million in revenue, you probably feel successful and stuck all at the same time. $2 million in revenue is where hustle stops working. The skills that got you to $2 million in revenue won't get you to the next stage. So every business moves through predictable stages, and the stages align with revenue levels of 2s and 5s. So I call it the rule of 2s and 5s. At this $500,000 to $2 million revenue level, we call that stage traction. And this stage is all about turning revenue into a system. Now, if you're stuck at this stage, I want to give you 5 reasons why you might be stuck under 2 million in revenue. The first reason you might be stuck at 2 million in revenue is you don't have a true go-to-market system. So what does it mean to not have a defined go-to-market system? Well, it means you don't have a repeatable pipeline. It means that you don't have a channel that you dominate. More or less, you just don't have a sales system that is organized and predictable. So here are some signs that you don't have that go-to-market system dialed in. If the sales process lives mostly inside your head, you probably have an issue with your go-to-market. If your revenue fluctuates wildly, let's say 1 month revenue's high, the next month it's low, and there's no way for you to know whether or not you're gonna have a good month or a bad month next month, you probably have a go-to-market issue. And if referrals are driving most of your growth, obviously referrals are great, but if you have no idea where your next customer is gonna come from outside of someone referring them to you, you probably don't have a clearly defined go-to-market system. At this stage, you don't want to depend on momentum to grow your business. You want to make sure that you have one offer in one market with one primary acquisition engine. And that's one of the things that's going to help you break past 2 million in revenue. Reason number 2 that you're stuck at 2 million in revenue is because you are the revenue engine. So if you're stuck under 2 million in revenue and you're still the primary rainmaker, you're the one who's making all the deals happen, you're probably exhausted. That's a lot of revenue to hold up by yourself. A few questions that you want to ask to figure out if you're actually the primary revenue driver is just to ask, can anyone else close deals? If the answer is no, then you're probably still the primary revenue engine. Another question to ask, are customers buying because of you or because of your brand? If they're buying because of you, you're still the primary revenue engine. You want them to be buying not based on a persona, but based upon a great process. Remember that if you're the top salesperson, you're also the ceiling for the organization. Reason number 3 that you're stuck at 2 million in revenue is because you have a leadership gap. I'm guessing you have 3 to 10 employees. You have maybe a couple of managers, but you have absolutely no leadership structure. It's just you at the top, some managers, and everyone else. At 2 million in revenue, you shift from needing helpers to needing leaders. You're not just the genius and the minions. You need to build an actual organizational structure where you have people on your leadership team that are not just helping you with execution, but with strategy. Because to go from 2 million to 5, you need to be able to make the types of big decisions that likely you cannot make on your own. Reason number 4 you're stuck at 2 million in revenue is because of operational drag. At 2 million in revenue, complexity increases. You have more customers, you have more employees, there's more communication, but often your systems lag behind the organization. If you find that you're repeating the same mistakes, you're hiring too fast, you're constantly overwhelmed, or there's cultural frustration, you probably have some operational drag in the company. You have to remember that revenue is always going to grow faster than infrastructure. But if you're not careful, that infrastructure that's broken will come back to stop the revenue growth. So it's critical to make sure as you grow, you're fixing the infrastructure along the way. The 5th reason that you're stuck at 2 million in revenue is because you're having a founder identity crisis. You got to almost $2 million in revenue. And in order to get there, you had to be reactive, you had to be scrappy, you had to be fast, you had to get in the weeds. But if you want to get to 5 million in revenue, everything has to change. You have to become the architect. You can't be in the weeds anymore. You got to be in the boardroom and become a strategist. And that's a shift that a lot of founders are either unwilling to make or they don't know that they need to make. You have to remember that at 2 million in revenue, your job changes before your title does. This is the point at which you need to shift from founder to CEO. So here's what you should be focused on if you want to break past 2 million in revenue. Number 1, establish one primary go-to-market channel. Don't try to be all things to all people. Pick one offer and put it in one market and try to grow the organization just using that one channel. Next, define and document your sales process. If you are still the revenue growth engine, write down the sales process. That way, when you need to bring someone in and train them on it, it's already ready to go and you're not the only person selling anymore. The next thing to do is build a real org chart. A great org chart has 3 primary functions: sales and marketing, service delivery, and finally, finance and administration. When you build out your org chart, make sure there's one name in each of those 3 boxes to make sure you can eliminate your leadership gap and actually build out a real org chart. The next thing you need to do is train your managers intentionally. If you have operational drag, probably one of the reasons is there's not enough people managing the systems. So train great managers and put them in place to manage the day-to-day so that you're not doing it on your own. And the last thing to do, reduce founder revenue dependency. Breaking past $2 million is so unnatural because everything you did up until this point really works, but nothing will work after it as a founder. You have to shift from founder to CEO. And this is a principle called elevation. The principle of elevation says that if you elevate too quickly out of the business will break. But if you elevate too slowly, then you will break. You want to make sure at this stage, breaking past 2 million in revenue, you elevate at the right pace out of the organization to make sure it's not too dependent upon you. Here's how to know that you're ready for that next stage of $5 million in revenue. When you're not the primary owner and the team can operate without you, there's a manager in charge of every single function and the org seems to be sort of smooth. When that starts to happen, you're probably ready to break past 2 million and get to the $5 million revenue mark. If you're stuck at 2 million in revenue, don't look for a bigger opportunity or to find a new product or service to sell. What you probably need is greater structure for the organization, and that's going to help you break past the $2 million revenue mark. Ask yourself this: is this growth powered by me, by a personality, or is it powered by a system and a process? The more you can do the latter, not the former, the more likely you are to break past that $2 million revenue mark. If you want more clarity on what's really stopping your organization from growing, make sure to take the Executive Flow assessment.